Welcome! NOAA has just released its 2020 June climate report for the United States, and this video is a summary of that report. The main takeaway points from this video will be that June of 2020 is the 23rd warmest June on record, which means it's in the top 20% of warmest months. The year-to-date, January to June, is the 6th warmest period like that, over the 125, so that puts it in the top 5%. Precipitation overall is slightly above normal. The number of very warm areas are still outranking the number of very cold areas. The climate extreme index is still increasing. Tornadoes are running below average so far this year. Now let's take a look at these data in a bit more detail. This is the average temperature map for June of 2020 for the continental United States. You can see very clearly that the center part of the country was much above average as far as temperature is concerned. So was the west coast and the northeast. However, in the southeast there was an area of cool weather, except for in Florida. Now we could take a look at something more interesting than that by comparing daytime and nighttime temperatures. Here are the two maps. On the left we have the daytime temperatures, or the maximum temperatures, and it looks very similar to the map I just showed you. However, the nighttime temperatures have a slightly different pattern. They seem more uniformly above average. We can see this more clearly when we look at a couple of specific areas. Let's start at the northwest. Here you have 3 states with temperatures well below average. But when you look at the equivalent nighttime temperatures, they're actually above average. Isn't that a bit strange? And similarly in the southeast, a large area of daytime below average temperatures, but the nighttime temperatures are average or above average. This means that nights are warming faster than days, which is exactly what you'd expect for greenhouse gas-led global warming. So now we can consider what has happened to the country as a whole so far this year. This is what we have here. This is the January to June temperature ranking. And you can see that all along the west coast, along the south and up the eastern seaboard, we've had temperatures that are much above average. The rest of the country is above average. And I don't see any pixels here that are blue shaded, so that's below average. So there's been no counties here that have been below average so far this year. That's why 2020 is turning out to be such a warm year. It may well be the second warmest year on record. Another way of looking at the temperature problem is to compare the area of the country that is classified as very warm with the areas that were classified very cold. And this is the results for June over the last 130 years. And as you can see, it's been nearly 20 years since we've had a June where the area of the very cold parts of the country have outranked the areas of the very warm parts of the country. And that has continued this month, with 20% of the country being classified as very warm and 0% being considered very cold. Another aspect of climate is precipitation, and these are the precipitation maps for the United States for June on the left and for the year-to-date on the right. You can see there are a couple of areas on here that have had extremely dry periods around the San Francisco Bay Area, western Arizona and northern Maine. Even the center of the country has had fairly dry conditions overall. However, if you look at the year-to-date map on the right, while you can see that the dry patterns are similar to those shown in June, the wet pattern is very different. In the southeast, we've had actually record rainfall in some of the states there, like Western Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. We don't seem to have any counties here that have had record driest months. NOAA calculates a quantity called the Climate Extreme Index, and that seems to have been increasing recently, which means that the climate is becoming more extreme, as you might expect. However, if you look at this index for the last 10 years, it's all been well above average, and that includes the year-to-date figure for 2020, which is rated at something like 32%. One of those extreme factors is the number of tornadoes, and so far this year it's been slightly below average. As you can see, as of the middle of June, we were at 676 tornadoes. That green line there indicates the annual average number of tornadoes, or the 50 percentile contour. And so we've just slipped below it because for the last few months the numbers of tornadoes have been relatively quiet. However, this can change relatively rapidly. You just need one large outbreak and this number will jump right back up again. We can draw some conclusions from all of this. The US climate is still warming. In the last month we had 240 new record highs compared with nearly 400 new record lows. Overall, for year to date, we've had nearly 25,000 record highs compared with just short of 15,000 record lows. That's a 70% increase for record highs, and so that says the country is still warming, or at least the continental United States is still warming. This doesn't include Alaska, remember. Overall, for the month of June, the US had a little more precipitation than usual, but not a significant amount so. However, as usual, the precipitation was very patchy, being extreme in some places and absent in others. So until next time, stay safe and goodbye.